Hi, welcome back to another episode of Shifted. Today, I'm super excited to dive into finding rhythm inside of our business. Now, we have essentially kind of tapped into this conversation subconsciously over the past couple of episodes with talking more about numerology inside of our business, specifically our personal year. Because what this does, numerology, is it's creating rhythm, it creates a focus for us inside of our business, gives us a direction. And so I want to dive into this conversation of creating a rhythm inside of our business because as entrepreneurs, I literally did a poll recently asking who feels stressed out or overwhelmed, who feels anxiety, who's overthinking things, who feels exhausted and burned out inside of their business. And I got a huge response where over 50% of people were feeling stressed out, over 30% of people were feeling anxiety, about 16% or so were feeling overwhelmed, but there were a lot of people that were like all the above, and one thing seems to lead to the next. Like I'll start to stress out and that brings on anxiety, or I'm starting to burn out and that brings on anxiety, or I feel anxiety and that stresses me out, which then makes me feel exhausted all the time. And it's like, I don't really know where it actually starts and where it ends because it's just this big giant loop. And the reality of it is that we feel these things because we don't have a rhythm that is honoring our energy inside of our business. And I have experienced this myself inside of my own business. And I want to share a little bit about that with you today and something that I'm implementing, something new inside of my business that I'm experimenting with. And I want to show you how you can start to create your own rhythm inside of your business that truly honors your energy. And I want to share that there are multiple different ways of creating rhythm inside of your business. Numerology, personal year is a great one. We've already tapped into that a little bit. Human design. My gosh, you want to talk about creating rhythm that honors your energy. Human design is going to show you exactly what your rhythm is according to how you are created. But we're not going to talk about that today because literally there's so much to talk about. That's going to be like an entire series that I create somewhere down the line. So you can look forward to that in the near future, talking about human design and how we can create rhythm using our human design. But today I want to specifically talk about time blocking. Now, if you just rolled your eyes at me, or if you just went, oh, I hate this word, stick with me here because I want to give you an example of what this can look like that can create not only just a rhythm inside of your business, but actual focus and direction, which is going to help remove that feeling of stress and overthinking or anxiety and overwhelm and burnout and exhaustion and all of these things that we have a tendency to feel from either time to time or more often than we'd like to admit as being entrepreneurs, because we're constantly under the pressure of figuring everything out and getting it all done right now. Now, I want to start this off by sharing just a little bit about my experience with time blocking because I have been on and off this bandwagon multiple times over the many years of being an entrepreneur. And I have tried so many different strategies of time blocking, from being really loosey goosey about it, in that Monday is a working on my business day and Tuesday is working on client day, but there weren't specific tasks. It was a leave it up to whatever was going on, whatever I feel like. There was no real structure behind it. And so I've also gone as extreme as having like multiple things that were listed, like Mondays I'm going to create content. That's going to be my content day. I'm going to map it all out. I'm going to batch process it. I'm going to get it all put together, schedule it, and have it set for the week so that I don't have to create content or even really think about content for the rest of the week. And what I have learned is that when I am on a time blocking schedule, whether it's rigid or really flexible, I am more productive. I feel less stress and overwhelm, and I don't get exhausted. But as I mentioned, I have been on and off the bandwagon of time blocking because I had yet to find a rhythm, a system that really was working for me. So I would try this time block out, and it would go really well for a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. And I would either get really annoyed with it because I feel like it's not working for me anymore, or it's causing more stress and anxiety than if I didn't do time blocking, or it was so rigid that it was creating frustration for me inside of my business because, like I said, that Monday was dedicated to content. Well, maybe I don't have any ideas. Maybe I'm not feeling creative that day. Maybe I'm not inspired by anything. Maybe I'm sitting down in front of my computer, a Canva template, pulled up, or my notes app pulled up, ready to write and create. And I'm just staring at a blinking cursor. Who has experienced this? Like, raise your hand. I'm raising my hand. I bet that every entrepreneur has experienced this at least once when it comes to creating content, no matter how seasoned you are. So I would get off the bandwagon and I would say, you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow of every day of every week. And that just always ended up turning into a disaster. And so what I realized is that I personally need to have some type of time blocking structure to create rhythm, but I didn't know what that structure really looked like, to create a sustainable rhythm that was really truly honoring my energy. And in the process of putting something together, you experiment with things, you try something out, you see how it works without setting expectations of this is going to work, this is going to make me feel better, it's going to help me be more productive, it's not going to be so rigid, whatever the case may be. And we see what works and we move forward with that, and we see what doesn't work, what creates resistance, what creates the overwhelm and stress and frustration, maybe even anger or bitterness. And we say, okay, that's no longer working. I'm going to ball it up and toss it into the trash and try something else. And so over the past several months, I have been kind of experimenting with, okay, I need to find an actual system that is going to honor my energy. And the more and more that I was curating my strategy, the more I started to realize that I was unknowingly following astrology inside of my time blocking. So I got really curious and I started looking up, what does astrology look like in creating a work rhythm, a work rhythm inside of my business on a weekly basis. I had heard before about certain planets, quote unquote, ruling certain days of the month. And this is just a matter of creating focus and literally just flowing with the energy that is already around us. So I did a little bit of research because I am no astrology expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm totally curious by it. I enjoy dabbling with it, but that's not where my study or focus is. Human design is. And so I did a little bit of research and I was able to learn what planets rule each day, what that means, and what that looks like in business. And that's when I decided to try this out and see how it goes. And so far, it's been pretty amazing. It is literally by far the first time that I have experienced time blocking where I literally don't feel any pressure from day to day about what's getting done, when it's getting done, because I'm able to see, okay, I don't have to worry about this particular task today because I know that I've got time created to take care of it on Wednesday or on Thursday or on Friday. When people are asking to meet with me for one-on-one, coffee networking or group networking, I can literally look at the day. Is this in alignment with my current schedule? Does this really fit into it? Or am I trying to force squeezing this into my schedule, which is just going to create anxiety, overwhelm, exhaustion, burnout, all of these things that we experience because we feel like, well, I should be a part of this networking group and this is when they meet. Well, maybe that doesn't work out for you, and that's not a bad thing. There's lots of networking groups, so we find one that does align with us. If not, then maybe we need to revisit some things, but I'm not going to go there today. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to share with you my system and my rhythm that I have created to see if it inspires you, or if you're curious about it and you want to implement it in your business, or you're able to take a little piece here and a little piece there and make some shifts inside of your work week to help you find a rhythm that helps to honor your energy a little bit more than what you're experiencing, to reduce that stress and anxiety and overwhelm and overthinking, because you don't have to think about it because it's all planned out for you. Okay, so I'm going to share with you what planets rule over what day, what that planet really kind of stands for, what that energy is, what that looks like a business. And then I'm even going to give you an inside peek of what my work week looks like and what I have kind of assigned for each one of my days. So let's start with Monday. Monday is ruled by the moon, and this is emotion. This is intuition. This is internal needs. So what does this look like in business? This is like your CEO day. This is all about planning. This is that behind the scenes alignment. You could even look at it as being client care, right? Because there's a nurturance to the moon energy. So for me, I decided to make Monday kind of like my CEO day, right? I'm not dedicating this day to doing any kind of client work, taking any client calls. This day is dedicated for me coming out of a weekend where I don't work. Yay, no more weddings. We won't go there. But coming into a work week and saying, okay, I'm going to set the tone for the whole week ahead. I'm going to plan things out so that I feel like I have some stability inside of my business for just this next coming week. So Monday for me is the day that I work on my CEO spreadsheet. So this is looking at my expenses. It's making sure that my credit card is paid. It's updating my mileage. It's reviewing my goals and seeing, okay, where am I? Do I need to plan for any launches coming up? Do I need to plan for any promotions coming up? Right? This is all about planning. I also have marked down to really plan my Rising Entrepreneur membership execution, which is a later day during the week. Remember, Monday for me is all about planning. So I'm not implementing anything. I'm literally just creating a plan. So what am I going to work on that helps to build and nurture my membership, whether that's creating content, it's planning out the content, it's writing emails, scheduling emails, whatever the case may be. I'm planning out, okay, what is it this week? What does my membership need from me energetically and focus wise this week? And then I do the same thing for what content that I'm going to create. Okay, so Wednesday, we're jumping ahead just here a little bit, but Wednesday is actually ruled by Mercury, and I'll get to that here in a minute. So this is about, okay, there's many platforms that I have that I create content for. My newsletter, for example, is one of them, and hands down my most favorite place to create content for. Podcast is in a very, very close second. But there's the podcast, there's my newsletter, there's my blog, which has been neglected, and I hope to get back to that very soon. There is, what else do I have? Creating content for social media, creating content for Facebook groups that I have. There's a couple of groups that I'm in where I'm allowed to promote my services. So do I need to create a promotional post for this week? Well, yes, I do. So what is that going to be about? Again, this is not about executing anything for me, or, really, creating drafts for anything. It's just, what area or what platform am I going to give my attention to this week? And what do I want that topic to be about? So all of this work doesn't take very, very long to do. And then the rest of the day for me is dedicated to studying. So whether that's human design, it's studying more about numerology, it's studying more about anxiety and stress and overwhelm and burnout and exhaustion and all of that. Yes, I want to deepen my knowledge and understanding of all of this, because this is a skill set that I implement inside of my business. So I am constantly learning and growing and expanding so that I'm able to serve my clients at a deeper level as time goes on. Okay, so that's Monday. Tuesday is ruled by Mars, and Mars is all about taking action, right? This is about creating momentum and having courage and tapping into your drive. So in business, this can look like bold outreach. It can look like pitching yourself, right? So client follow up is really good for Tuesday. So for me specifically in my business, my Tuesdays look like first and foremost emails. Okay. So what emails need my attention? What do I need to respond to? What do I need to follow up on? Okay. This is also a client work day for me as well, right? So this is literally that kind of execution and ship it energy. So when I think of that, I immediately think of my clients because that is literally me executing my promise to them, my dedication to them, right? Working on, whether that's editing photos or it's preparing for a human design reading, whatever it might look like. It is that ship it out energy. It is that get it done, creating momentum inside of my business and getting things moving. Okay, so that's Tuesday. Then Wednesday, as I mentioned earlier, is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury is all about communication. It's about writing. It's about teaching and logistics. It's networking. It's even sales. So in business, this looks like creating content, sending out emails like your newsletter. It's creating podcast episodes. I mean, today is January 21st at the time of this recording. It is a Wednesday. It's about sales conversations and DMs. So this is all about, like, you think about it, bringing this all back through the lens of communication, right? So for me, as I mentioned earlier, this is my day to create content, right? So very similar to my old Monday of content creation, but through a little bit of a different lens because I don't have to do the planning part of it. I don't have to plan and execute on the same day, and I don't have to do it for all of the different platforms. And that's kind of how I had myself set up years ago when I was first really tapping into time blocking. I already have it planned out. I already know not only what platforms are going to get my attention that day, but what that content is going to be about. So this looks like my newsletter, the podcast, blog content, which hopefully I get back to creating content for my blog here soon. I used to be really good at that back when I was time blocking. So I'm excited to get back to creating more blog content. It looks like content creation for social media or even promotional posts, for some Facebook groups that I'm a part of that are networking, where part of the benefit of being a member of these networking groups is that I get to promote myself, to hundreds or even thousands of entrepreneurs, my ideal clients inside of this Facebook group. So moving on to Thursday. Thursday is ruled by Jupiter. And this is all about growth, expansion, it's visibility, it's opportunity, it's thought leadership, and even publishing. So in business, this looks like launches and collaborations or teaching. It's that big picture strategy, right? So let's say on Monday on your CEO planning day, you are literally creating a new offer, okay? And you're going from maybe a really small offer to creating a whole funnel system for it, right? That's kind of like a big picture strategy. So you're not just focused in on one particular offer, but all your offers, your offer suite as a whole, and what funnel system are you using to bring people to your offer, right? That's an example of big picture strategy. So this also looks like, as I mentioned, teaching, and that's the direction that I took for my own Thursday, and that's to dedicate that day to my Rising Entrepreneur membership. So again, because I have just this singular task, created for Thursday that also opens up space for me to kind of catch up on some other things if I need to, or I can use that time as white space. If you're not putting white space in your calendar, then you're not giving yourself any opportunity to rest. And that can be a conversation for another day, a whole nother episode, because I can talk about that just alone for a good 15 minutes solid. So I won't do that to you today. But when it comes to my membership, there's lots of things that I do for my membership in regards to planning what the content is going to be about. So the curating of it, the research part of it, then there's the putting together of the content. So, creating the slides for my members, writing the emails and scheduling all of that, doing the recording. There's a video that goes out every single week inside of my membership. So I need to record those and get those scheduled and get the covers made and get the descriptions done and all the things that go along with it. Excuse me. So at the end of the day, to try to do all of that in one day is extremely overwhelming. But knowing that throughout my month, I have Thursdays dedicated to it, I don't have to try to do every single thing for my membership in just one day. I can literally spread it out according to how I am actually delivering the content. And then finally, Friday, this is ruled by Venus. So this is relationships, this is beauty and pleasure. It's about connection, money, and branding. So in business, this looks like community building, partnerships, collaborations, money dates, even working on your brand visuals. So again, for me, Fridays are a non-client work day. I don't take calls. I don't do meetings with clients. I don't do photo shoots. I don't do readings on Fridays. And so this is a day for me to really work on my brand visuals. So curating my website, does anything need to be updated? And that doesn't mean that I am working on my website every single month. It means, okay, do I have some SEO work that needs to get done? Do I need to refresh some copy? Do I need to create a new page or a landing page? Do I need to update images on my website? Or am I ready for a complete another overhaul of my website? What is just one small thing that I can do to make improvement? Again, this is taking off the pressure of sitting down and having to dedicate an entire day or a huge chunk of time to just one task. Instead, I'm just nipping them at the bud a little bit by little bit by little bit. This is literally what momentum is. It's just taking a little bit of action, one moment at a time on a continuous basis. I'm very active on Pinterest. So this is about creating Pinterest content for me. That's a brand visual. If anything needs a little bit of updating in regards to like, for example, my YouTube channel. There's some updating that needs to be done there. So like the cover, I'm looking to update that. So this is a great day to execute that. This is a great day for me to go to networking meetings and create new connections or deepen relationships that I already have, nurtured them. It's a great day for doing co-working, right? That's a great day for co-working because you're putting yourself in a community around other people and you're working on something. It could literally be anything. It could be, working on your brand visuals or updating your CEO or just like reviewing your revenue or your offers and then bouncing ideas off of people. So at the end of the day, I did a poll. I'm gonna back up here a little bit. I did a poll recently in quite a few different Facebook groups that are filled with entrepreneurs, and I asked them, I said, chances are you feel all three of these options, but I want you to share with me the one that you feel the most or the deepest, even if it's just slightly. And the options were stress, anxiety, and burnout, right? And with stress comes overwhelm. With anxiety comes overthinking. With burnout comes exhaustion. And like everybody was responding on like everything was being clicked, but the most was stress and overthinking. And at the end of the day, we feel stressed and overthinking because we don't have a rhythm inside of our business. Or maybe we do have a rhythm, but that rhythm isn't sustainable. It doesn't honor our energy. So this is all about creating a rhythm inside of our business. And a rhythm that works for me is, maybe it works well for you. Chances are it's not going to work well for you. This isn't about copying and pasting what it is that I am doing. It's about you finding your own rhythm. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, human design is like the place to start, the absolute place to start, with understanding how your energy works and how you are meant to interact with the world, the best way to make decisions. This is called the big three in human design. So that's your energy type, that's your strategy, and that's your authority. When you have a good grasp on what these are, it becomes a lot easier and a lot clearer to know what type of rhythm is going to work for you. And then you can start to experiment instead of just flying into this blind like I did. Way back when I started implementing time blocks and could never get it to stick. So there were parts of me that were like, time blocks work great. And then there was another part of me that like, this is bull. This is like, this doesn't work. Like, I am not a time block person. So if you have tried time blocks and you are on the realm of like, nope, this is not for me, I've tried it and it doesn't work, then I'm going to encourage you to be open-minded and trying it again through the lens of your own personal energetic rhythm. And if you want to know what that is, what that looks like, how that can look like inside of your business, then book a human design reading with me. I would love to uncover what your unique rhythm is so that you can find more clarity and direction and rhythm inside of your business so that you experience less overthinking, because the week is relatively planned out. And if you are in one of these industries, like say real estate agents, like I know you guys are all over the place. Anything can pop up at any moment. That's part of your rhythm. So we plan to accommodate that. Just because you have so much sporadic moments inside of your business, like anything can happen out of the blue where you have to drop everything that you're doing and go down to your listing because that's when the inspector was ready. Oh, I was going to be there at 3, but now I'm going to be like, I'm pulling into the driveway. It's 9:30 a.m. I hope that you can come and walk the house for me and do this inspection with me, because right now is when I'm available. Like, I get that. I work with a lot of real estate agents. So I get it that there's this moment that happens inside of different industries that you kind of don't have control over. So instead of reacting to everything, we literally want to respond. And it's very difficult to respond to things that happen inside of our business unexpectedly when we don't have any idea of what kind of rhythm we need to honor our energy so that we don't feel stressed or anxiety or burnout or exhaustion. Okay, so this is literally my invitation to you to take a moment and take a look at your schedule and say, where am I feeling overwhelmed? Where am I feeling really scattered? And what can I do about it? Take the experiment that I am doing with following the planets. This works beautifully for me as a generator because I literally have created lists of things to respond to. So I can lean into, what am I feeling this day? How is my energy level? What is my clarity level? For those that know me, you know I have a neurological condition that can cause a lot of cognitive dysfunction and even brain fog. So it can be very difficult for me to focus and to really think things through. So having something to respond to that's right in front of my face takes the pressure off of, I have to figure this all out on my own. My Trello board, this rhythm that I've created, is literally like my accountability partner inside of my business to ensure that I am staying on track, that I'm staying focused, that I'm working on sustainable momentum inside of my business. So I hope this inspired you today, and I hope that you give it a try and share it with me. And I can't wait to hear what shifts for you.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Romano, Indian wedding photographer turned brand photographer and human design reader. Thank you for tuning into Shifted, the podcast that is here to spark a shift in you that creates big change in your energy, perspective, and direction. And if this episode sparked a shift in you, then subscribe and leave a review sharing what your shift was. Not only will this help others discover this podcast, but your shift can inspire them to have a shift of their own. Please remember, the content you hear in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as legal, health, or financial advice. For professional guidance, I encourage you to seek out a trusted expert near you. Thank you again for tuning into Shifted. Until next time, keep leaning into the shift.